get going. So hello, welcome everyone to our inaugural 2026 Innovation 5.0 AI-driven disruption in the new frontiers of quality supply chain and organizational excellence. This is a multi-divisional panel today brought to you by the Innovation Division, the Government Division, and the Statistics Division. And you have expertise across many industries with deep dives into both industry and academia. So you all on the line today, live with us and or listening to this on the recording, are in for such a treat. So I want to just set the intention for today with regard to our session. As we step beyond Industry 4.0 into Innovation 5.0, we are redefining how advanced technologies, AI, machine learning, and autonomous systems shape not only productivity, but also ethics, resilience, and human-centered impact. Today's conversation brings together thought leaders from across aerospace, manufacturing, healthcare, sustainability, and technology. And we're going to explore how AI is transforming our quality systems, our supply chain operations, our excellence framework, and what this truly means for the future of leadership, governance, and trust. So again, for those that may be on the phone and not able to see the slides, we have 5 major focus areas that we're going to be speaking about, and we have 7 main themes. We're going to be looking at AI's impact on quality, compliance, and assurance models. We're going to be looking at it from an intelligence enhancer for risk-aware supply chains and decision ecosystems. We're going to be looking at Innovation 5.0 and the nexus between human-centered values-based evolution, as well as quantitative methodologies, KPIs, performance models, et cetera, that we can harness and use from a continuous improvement standpoint, and then looking at that really important area of governance, ethics, and leadership in AI-driven transformation. So again, if you want to put in the chat, we do offer this to our attendees who are listening to the recording. They always love to know where you're at, where you're from, what interested you today in this topic, any questions you might have, and then again, a special request from our panelist, Mr. Tim Armstrong, with regard to your background and how it might apply to this topic. We do discussions after the fact, so we would love to be able to pull the thread on all that you are giving to us today. And so without further ado, let's meet our panelists. So Mr. Tim Armstrong, if you would like to come off of mute and introduce yourself to our attendees, that would be phenomenal, sir.
Yeah, so Tim Armstrong here, heavy background in aerospace, project management, and data science. I currently work for Rockwest Composites, but before that, I've had about 20 years of experience within the aerospace realm when it comes to composite reinforced polymers, structures of materials that go on aerospace aircrafts and so forth, from commercial aerospace, defense aerospace, and what you see in my background is Joby aircraft, which is for urban air mobility, air taxis, and with drones as well. So I've had different backgrounds and different spread of experiences throughout different segments of aerospace. Other than that, I look forward to being a part of the panel and having some more discussion.
Thank you so much, Tim Armstrong. We want to recognize Dr. Michael, who is not able to be here with us today. He is taking care of a personal and professional manner, and he sends his best wishes to each and every one of you. And we will be including him in future panels of our Innovation and Government Division. So we wish him well in his travels and all of his undertakings and look forward to him rejoining us in a future panel. Mr. Patel, would you like to introduce yourself, sir?
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Rhonda. So, hi everyone. My name is Priyank Patel. I work in the medical device industry. I have a decade of experience behind me working in this industry, remediating as well as launching new products. Currently, I'm working where I'm involved with advanced surgical robots. And outside of my work, I also support various ASQ and IEEE activities. I am part of the ASQ customer supplier division and the lean enterprise division, and my interest lies in also strengthening the standards that powers us in our industries. So those are my interest areas. Feel free to connect me even after this session. Looking forward to this panel discussion. Thanks all.
Thank you, Priyank. And next, without further ado, our phenomenal Mr. Russ Snyder.
Good morning, Rhonda. I am recently, well, not recently, 3 years ago, I retired from Intel. I worked there for 23 years and had various roles in supply chain and outsourced manufacturing. I spent about 13 of those years managing our Wi-Fi card business operation and outsourced manufacturing. Learned a great deal. We applied Lean Six Sigma. We had a great business transformation, and it's currently one of the more profitable businesses at Intel. I have a lot of interest in innovation, doing things differently, Lean Six Sigma, sustainability. I've gotten into a good bit of sustainability. I'm a registered professional engineer and with an MBA. I am currently the chair-elect for the Electronics and Communications Division, and I look forward to sharing with all of you on Innovation 5.0.
Thank you so much, Russ. And last but definitely not least, Miss Ria.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Ria Supnarayan, and I am the Sustainability Manager and ESG Specialist at Unipet, which is a chain of service filling stations and convenience store in Trinidad and Tobago. I am skilled in occupational safety and health, quality management, Black Belt Six Sigma, and a certified member of IASH. I have over 20 years experience in occupational health and safety, as well as quality management. And I spend a lot of my time trying to raise the health and safety and quality management profile in the Caribbean region. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ria. So we are so pleased to have all of our phenomenal panelists with us today. They are a wonderful set. They have really been doing longitudinal panelist discussions with us across these multiple divisions, looking at AI as it's maturing across many industries. So I think attendees, you're in for a real treat as they really talk about the changes that have occurred, as well as what they're forecasting going forward. And again, I'm your moderator today. I'm Dr. Rhonda Farrell. I support ASQ Innovation Division, Government Division, and partner across all of the divisions that were mentioned, as well as HDNL, QMD, etc. And the reason we hold these multi-divisional panels is so that you, as you attend, can get a better understanding of the perspectives that are represented across ASQ writ large, and the depth that these professionals bring to you in their multidisciplinary discussions, especially on the topic of Industry 5.0. I am a veteran of ASQ since 2003, joining at the section level and leading 509 as its chair, and then working across multiple divisions to really help them enhance their event portfolio and mature out their integrated offerings across ASQ. So I'm so glad to be working with this esteemed team of panelists, and we look forward to serving each and every one of you attending live today or listening with topics on Innovation 5.0 that matters. So let's talk about Industry 5.0 or Innovation 5.0. And if we look at the nexus of what's going on right now across the globe, it's really moving from a technological only implementation to one that is highly correlated to human-centered evolution. So I think if we look at the last couple years and we look forward, the promulgation of policy, of processes, of legislation, of standards is really focused on how we can keep the human not only in the loop from a governance standpoint, but how to keep them safe and our information and data and responses unbiased and equitable across all of our populations and geographies. So we'll be talking about the components of that as we move forward. So for those on the line today, if you have questions, please put them in the chat. We will have a time at the end to answer questions. Our way forward today is we're going to touch upon 7 different themes applicable to this robust, complex, and innovative area. And so if you can hold your questions to the end, it will be easier to facilitate those across the themes. Thank you so much. So without further ado, let's go on to our first theme. And really, what we're talking about here is grounding ourselves in what Innovation 5.0 represents. We've evolved from automation to augmentation, where human creativity and machine intelligence coexist. Tim, you've led across aerospace and advanced manufacturing film for fields where precision is everything. How is AI changing the way we design, produce, and assure quality in very high stakes environments, such as those that you are centrally leading?
Yeah, so I'll start off with that. I just want to give everybody kind of a background and a baseline of a definition of AI. I know everybody probably has a different definition or so forth, but just want to ground everybody with that from my standpoint, it recognizes patterns in data, whether it be our facial expressions, our tones, the words that I'm speaking right now, or numerical data, and recognizes those patterns to make descriptive, prescriptive, and predictive analysis, and then spits out some recommendation based off of that analysis, and then learns based off of that as well. But it does not certify. It does not take accountability. It does not say I was wrong either, until you let it know that it was wrong. But in the field that I am in, when it comes to material science and aerospace structures, when I'm talking about structures, I'm talking about the skin or the fuselage of a plane or the fuselage of a Joby aircraft, which is in my background, the fuselage of a F-35 fighter jet, and the fuselage of a small drone that delivers your pizza. They're made out of composite reinforced polymers, or more and more they're switching over from alloy to composite reinforced polymers, or even the alloys that are used within engines as well. There's iterations that are assisted with AI and developing innovations on how they can withstand 1,500 degrees of combustion temperatures as well. So the engineering that goes behind that really needs the support of AI, but it also keeps humans in the loop, as well as the structures that are on the fuselage and the wings of a plane as well. The selection of those materials, the selection of those composite fiber reinforced polymers, they also go through iterations with the assistance of AI. Now, just to ground everybody, composite reinforced polymer is just an epoxy resin with carbon fiber that are put together. And there's a lot of chemical makeup that's involved with that as well. And AI is assisting us in developing those new materials that are going on the structures, the skin and the wing skins and the tail of aircrafts as well. It's assisting us in selecting those materials. and making sure that it's able to withstand those forces that those structures are going to need to withstand. Now, what are those forces? They're tension, there's compression, there's shear, and then there's flex. If you didn't know this, Boeing and Airbus, they flex the wings about 20 feet from parallel. That's what composite reinforced polymers can do. Also, they need to be able to withstand, the fuselage needs to be able to withstand about 3 to 5 tons of force when it's at 35,000 feet. So there's a factor of safety that goes into that as well. And AI takes those factors in place and assists us with developing new materials and orienting us in the right direction and selecting new materials for engines or selecting new materials for the structures of aircrafts as well. Now, again, humans constantly need to be in the loop with that as well. As I stated earlier, it's not taking accountability. It's not taking accountability for safety. Also, you got to think when it comes to those different segments of aerospace, whether it be commercial aerospace, defense aerospace, urban air mobility, air taxis, or a drone, there's different levels of risk. And AI is accepted at a different level when it comes to a drone that may go out to seek and never come back, or versus a commercial aircraft that's housing 300 humans and is worth $200 million plus in monetary impact. So AI is assisting with that, but we have to understand that there's guardrails that are placed on AI when it comes to innovation and selection of different materials or selection of the way it's used in different segments of aerospace.
Thank you so much, Tim. I love how you really went deep dived into the design aspect, the factorial analysis, the risk given the platform type, and how we can harness and use it, and what might the capability gaps be of the assurance mechanisms for each of those given our industry requirements for those different use cases. So thank you so much, Tim, for that broad overview and for really sharing with us all the different ways you're seeing AI being utilized in your industry field. So I know we have a lot of expertise, Russ and Priyank and Ria. Could you speak to maybe how traditional quality and process improvement systems like Lean, Six Sigma, ISO 9000, et cetera, are adapting to a point that Tim made that's hugely important, that integration of AI analytics? And is there a point where you see human intuition or human in the loop reasoning or logic still maybe outperforming AI? And how do we protect that balance accordingly at the fast rate of change that we're seeing?
Okay, thank you for that question, Rhonda. That's a very important question, and it goes straight to the heart of what Innovation 5.0 really means for quality professionals. When we talk about concepts like Lean, Six Sigma, and ISO 9001, the key thing to remember is that these systems aren't being replaced by AI. They are being strengthened or augmented by it. AI analytics are giving us better visibility into our processes. So then we can now spot trends and defects, variations, supplier performance, or customer feedback much earlier than before. So what we're seeing now is that what used to take weeks of data analysis, it can now happen in near real time, and that is through the help of AI. And this helps teams move from a reactive culture to reacting to how to solve problems to preventing them, using a more proactive approach. And with that said, quality has never just been about raw data. It's where human judgment is still critical. AI is still very good at identifying patterns and trends, but people are very much better at understanding the context. A quality professional can look at an in-control process and still recognize that something is not right. Maybe it's unsafe or unfair or misaligned with organizational values. And humans also pick up on subtle signals through experience and conversations with teams, time spent in work tasks, things that don't always show up in a dashboard that is AI generated. So maintaining the right balance comes down to how we govern and use these tools. Standards like ISO 9001 already guide us in the right direction by emphasizing leadership responsibility, using risk-based thinking and competence. I think that AI should inform decisions and not make them on its own. And this is why we need transparency in how insights are generated and clear accountability so that people remain responsible for outcomes. In the Innovation 5.0 world, real opportunity is a partnership, I think. AI brings speed, scale, and predictive insight. Humans bring ethics, intuition, and purpose. And when quality systems are designed to support both entities, we move beyond efficiency and into a more sustainable, trusted, and resilient organizational excellence. Thanks.
Yes, so I thank you so much. So I love the fact that you're really balancing the merits that AI brings to the table with human in the loop brings to the table, what our prior life cycles and methodologies were, and how we can drive efficiencies and effectiveness and reduce risk and perhaps make sure we don't have significant gaps in our governance, ethics, cultural related issues, values, et cetera. So thank you so much for really building that bridge between Tim's industry deep dive and then how we can harness and utilize this for best operationalization across many industries. Ria, thank you. Russ or Priyank, did you have anything you'd like to follow up on that question with?
I do. I'd like to get a little bit philosophical first. I think a lot of the literature out there talks about the human AI hybrid workflow. And I think there's a lot to be said for that, that at least in the initial stages of AI, that I think it will have most of the applications and agents will be assistants and with some human oversight. But I couple of anecdotes. I work with a company that I do some consulting with, and they were rolling out an AI interviewer. Okay, and I got to be part of the pilot, and and the AI bot that did the interview was very interesting. It asked me a lot of questions about Intel, and um, and it was interesting that the bot could adjust after my answers and ask me another question based on my answer. And it was very intuitive. And the big takeaway I had from the AI interviewer is that the AI interviewer did not come with any bias. I've had a few consulting opportunities, and I will tell you that in almost every single one, the interviewer or the person I was working with had predestined what they wanted me to say.
Mm-hmm.
They already knew what they thought the answer was without consulting me, and I felt like what the opportunities are here with AI is AI comes unbiased. You know, and what we bring with humans is we all have a bias of some sort. Now, I'm going to segue this into how we as quality and reliability professionals view ISO 9001. And I just got back from a reliability conference, and after a couple of days, I was at breakfast with a bunch of guys. I said, "Now, does anybody ever come and speak about opportunity?" Because we're all programmed about risk mitigation, uh, more tests, more rigid tests, find the additional 0.1% defects or marginalities, and where I think AI can help us with something, let's say ISO 9001, that risk-based thinking gives equal opportunity to seek opportunities as well as mitigate risks. And what we fail to do as humans, I think, is we're all about finding the problem and fixing the problem and the diving catch and mitigating the risk. Where, as you know, I've seen over the years, many of our risk mitigations limited some of our opportunities. And what I think AI can do for us is help us seize those opportunities. Not only is AI an opportunity, but let's look for opportunities, not just risk mitigation. And what I really believe risk-based thinking is about giving equal play to both of those ideas. I have a bunch of examples where people would override systems in the past that weren't even AI systems that were supposed to improve their work lives. And humans didn't trust the software or the outcome or the way, especially when trying to predict inventory levels. Humans, at least at our organization, always overrode the automated model. And I see that happening with AI. I see while we have this human hybrid interface, we may not let the AI succeed in some ways if we're not careful.
I love this, Russ, that you're really bringing to the point, right? It's if we allow AI to discover iteratively, right, it opens up the aperture for organizations and for teams and personnel, as well as perhaps different ways of even approaching the risk model and the risk management framework within our organizations. And I really appreciate you saying culture, right? This cultural bias that we might be bringing might be putting stops in place to it even being able to go, one tail out, if you will, on our bell curve with regard to the efficiencies it can derive. So I love where you're going with the computer human and this iterative learning. And then how can we really sandbox it, if you will, to go through more scenarios, perhaps like you did in your interviewing sessions, to see what is in the realm of possible without artificially bounding it and constraining it from our current culture, Russ. So I love that where you're going with that. So we'll have to come back and bring a panel just on that, Russ, to understand how far have you seen an organization go with that. Okay, and last but not least, we have Priyank. Priyank, did you have anything to add on this particular theme?
Yeah, definitely. So I would like to add here is that there's a reason that Innovation 5.0 brought the focus back onto the human side from Innovation 4.0 or Quality 4.0 or Industry 4.0, right? All the 5.0s are bringing the focus back to humans. And there is a reason behind that, right? Because as we move towards more automation and AI, it does help with speed, efficiency, and lot more. But as you mentioned, Dr. Ronda, like the human intuition, right? That is much more valuable. So like I'll take the example of surgical robotics, right? Like surgical robotics have been in use for quite a long time. We have so much robust, mature, and sophisticated algorithms and technologies that are being used in those surgical robotics platform. But still, we don't trust a robot to do a surgery, even how small that surgery is, right? And there is a reason behind that. There is some trust inbuilt into it. So what I would like to present this in a way is that companies should use AI, should develop their tools. It is helping a lot. It is expanding horizons which you have not chased before. But humans will always stay in that loop to take that ultimate call. Whether do you trust the system? Do you trust the data? Do you trust the output? Do you trust the model, which in a lot of times we refer to it as the black box, right? Do you trust that it's doing the right thing? So it can help you get more tools, more power, but then the ultimate decision will be on the human. That's how I see Innovation 5.0 and all the advanced versions of 5.0.
I really love, Priyank, how you're raising the question of, what in old word would be taint, bias, etc., right? Or some type of intentional misinfluencing, but perhaps the question you're raising is is there a way to harness AI to investigate itself to understand the level of confidence and assuredness, right, that it is? Or do you need, layered AI solutions that will help each layer mature over time? So I love where you're going with that. And this is a fantastic segue. Thank you, Priyank, because data sits at the heart of all change. So let's explore now how organizations can make decisions that are both intelligent and responsible. So long connected data science with quality excellence. How can organizations leverage AI for predictive quality while maintaining statistical rigor and process discipline? Would one of our panelists like to take on one of those components? I think you've spoken to the beginning of this, Ria, with regard to your ethical examination, but is anyone on the line wanting to take this one up?
I can take that one.
Thank you.
So, uh, like as quality professionals, I think we have always used data and statistics to an extent. I think it has been decades when we have been following the concept of data-based thinking to make decisions. Either you are, let's say, in NPI or manufacturing or service, you rely on that data. We have several systems that currently takes in a lot of data points, and using that data point, we either do Minitab analysis and so on, right? So where organizations are now leveraging AI is just expanding that scale of it, right? Like instead of taking like discrete data points, organizations are shifting the mindset to continuous data points collection. Let's take example of inspection. So inspection, we used to do sampling for every batch, and that to like after certain periods of time. But now with the advent of like advanced cameras, inspection systems, we are taking 100% inspection in a continuous manner. So we have the data points gathering, and using the power of AI, what we are also trying to do is realize the vision of digital twins, where we are trying to like cover all our systems on the same platform, utilize that data in real time, and do predictive analysis or simulation out of it to make an informed decision at much larger confidence and at much larger scale than what the traditional systems would be able to do. So a lot of organizations are currently doing that, and several are moving into that. It's high time, like whosoever is not working on that space, they need to start moving towards that space.
This is phenomenal, right? Because yes, we traditionally, right, had a business intelligence layer, right, that operated in the executive suite and through our business flow infrastructure. And then we had a technological infrastructure suite that really was looking at operational, transactional, and cybersecurity, and then having its own separate set of dashboards, scorecards, etc. But sometimes very hard to build the bridge across our organizational functional areas to raise something for decision making. So I love where you're really going with this melding of the two, and the fact that it's more robust, more real time, and put into real time visualization methodology. So no matter who the audience is, they can get the information or the information and the wisdom, right, that next layer up that AI can provide for our executive decision-making capabilities and or operations, etc. So love where you're going with that, Priyank. I think Ria, you would like to speak on this too from a risk management perspective.
Yes. So I can speak to this component from a risk management and a sustainability reporting perspective. And what I'm seeing is a clear shift on how organizations actually understand and manage risk. When you look at risk management historically, you see that sustainability risk was treated as backward-looking, compliance-driven exercise, and it was focused on annual disclosures, static materiality assessments, and narrative reporting. I think in the work environment today, that model no longer works. Today, sustainability risk is dynamic. We have things like climate exposure, supply chain disruption, regulatory change, and social expectations that are all evolving in real time. And organizations need systems that can keep up. AI is helping accelerate that shift by enabling earlier risk identification and stronger trend analysis. For instance, AI can flag emerging climate or supply chain risks, detect anomalies in environmental or social data, and support scenario analysis for transition and physical risk. But the value only materializes there when the underlying data is reliable, traceable, and governed. So sustainability reporting still depends heavily on data coming from multiple sources, many of which were never really designed for automated decision making. And that's where you see risk management is maturing. We are moving towards an integrated sustainability risk management framework that align ESG data, enterprise risk management, and strategic decision making. AI could highlight patterns, but it cannot determine materiality. It can't determine stakeholder impact, and it definitely cannot determine ethical consequences on its own. And this is where human judgment comes in. And this is why it always will remain critical, particularly in assessing reputational risk, social impact, and long-term value creation. Leaders must be able to explain that sustainability-related decisions. They must be able to defend their assumptions, and they must be able to demonstrate that risks were assessed thoughtfully and not just calculated using a formula. In sustainability reporting, risk management is definitely evolving. It's evolving from static disclosure to continuous insight. But accountability, transparency, and ethical oversight will always remain fully human. And that balance is what will remain and help us build trust and have the system fully effective. Thanks.
Ria, I really enjoy how you're talking about how we integrate the human with the technology and the opportunity space, right? For manufacturers, for service providers, for solutioneers to focus on the predictive analytics from a forecasting and, to your point, with regard to identifying the major risk or operational interruptions that we may be experiencing, and then being able to quantify that for second and third order impact analysis. So I think there's so much there in what you gave to us. And so those on the line, if you have know of solutions or know of innovative work in this area, we would be so welcome to bring that back to the panel. Tim, I think you also wanted to speak on this topic.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to talk about the statistical rigor and process discipline really quickly. And Russell brought up opportunities in our last theme as well. I want to make sure that my project managers will know risk comes in two folds. There's negative risk, and then there's positive risk as well. And when evaluating those risks, you have probability of that risk and you have the impact of that risk as well. But AI is only going to be able to give you quality information based off the data that you input into it. I've said this before: garbage in, garbage out. I wonder how many people challenge AI and ask it, "Hey AI, what's your margin of error on your answer that you gave me?
Yep.
You said this opportunity was a $2 million opportunity, plus or minus what? $2 million plus or minus $1.5 million?" And you're going to say, hey, okay, that's a wide margin of error. Oh, well, it's because I only had 5 data points. I only had 2 data points. So when we're having this decision making, I would encourage us to challenge AI on how it came up with this answer and how it came up with this decision, because those opportunities could have a wide margin of error. Also, those negative risks could have a large margin of error as well. Also, challenge it with the gauge R&R, see if it's repeatable and reproducible from that standpoint too. And that's all I got to say.
I love it. You're so helping us understand the different aspects of operationalizing and integrating AI and the guardrails we have to put in place while we're qualifying and assuring it. So thank you so much, Tim. Russ, did you want to round us out on this question with anything?
I think I'd like to take the data theme into our next one about supply chain resilience and not comment on this one.
Thank you. Okay, so we will, with that segue, so if data fuels innovation, supply chains are its circulatory system. So let's look at how resilience is being redefined through the lens of AI. So Russ, you've spent years at Intel leading global supply chains. How have you seen AI reshape the modern supply chain ecosystem? And what does a resilient, intelligent, and responsible network look like heading into 2026 and beyond?
So this is where I feel I lived through the semiconductor shortage during the pandemic at Intel, and we did, our business unit did quite well. We doubled our volume over the 2 years of the pandemic, which very few can say they did. So we did it because we designed a resilient supply chain without AI. And we had redundancy and multi-sourcing, and we're able to add sources when needed during the pandemic. Now, that was rare, even within the walls of Intel. So where am I going with this? After the pandemic was over, I began trying to model and say, okay, were there any indicators that we could have predicted? It's difficult to predict what happened when the pandemic hit and all the volumes went way up. But could we have predicted when the orders were going to end? And I worked with a couple of PhD students from University of Massachusetts, and we said, okay, can we do more predictive and better control our supply chain so that we don't have so much excess inventory when people stop ordering laptops? All right, that was the goal. Can we find enough macroeconomic data, industry economic data, and our own customer data to sift through and see if we can say, okay, when are inventories going to rise? Can we figure that out? And the answer is yes, we could. But we used a machine learning algorithm with a lot of data, a lot of different data points, things like federal funds rate, other GDP growth, a lot of semiconductor industry data that Federal Reserve collects. And we were able to come up with an algorithm that would predict. So where do I think this can go with AI? I think that AI can help you identify before a disruption hits, where are your weak points in your supply chain? So you can design a better supply chain. And what the interesting thing is, with all this data that AI can sift through, I brought this up. I still keep in close contact with some of my colleagues at Intel. And when I said, we could have predicted about 9 months ahead of time that the end of orders were going to happen because inventories across the industry were rising, et cetera. And everybody said, and that was the time when we were buying the most parts at the longest lead time. Okay. So we were doing the wrong thing. And most of my colleagues said, Russ, you would have been the most unpopular person in the world had you said, hey, this thing's going to end in 9 months. Okay. So again, humans may not listen to the predictive outcome that may come from AI, but the opportunity, I use that word opportunity, is there to be able to predict what may happen in the future, especially when it comes to supply chain demand and supply, um, shifts geographically where products are going to be shipped. And one of the big things now, both the Association for Supply Chain Management and McKinsey are talking about autonomous fulfillment. If AI can tell you where your weak points are in your supply chain, and you can develop a workflow where a customer order triggers everything autonomously throughout the supply chain, you're going to have a very efficient supply chain. Not overproducing, not underproducing. Now we're a long way from that, and that's the holy grail. But that's I think where we're headed. But I think again we have to let us humans need to believe some of the analysis that comes out of AI that's going to help us get there.
I love this, Russ, that it's an iterative process, right? It has to be operationalized in a phased manner. It has to build trust. It has to build trustworthiness at various levels of the organization. And they have to really be able to see it piloted in a way that matters monetarily and value wise within and perhaps external to the organization. Thank you, Russ, for really helping us to see what's possible going forward in this area. Is there anyone else on the panel that would you like to talk about a smaller or a mid-sized organization, maybe how they've adopted some of these resilience principles, or is there new skills or partnerships that you see emerging that are critical to maintaining visibility and agility?
I can take that one. So first of all, I totally agree with what Russ explained here. I think I totally relate with that, having navigated the times of COVID disruption myself as well. One thing that happens a lot, right? Like a lot of our supply chains are built in with the concept of lean supply chains, right? With the concept of just in time. And when such huge disruptions happen, they throw away all the balance that we have already planned. So what Russ just mentioned, I think to prepare against the disruption of lean supply chains, I think you need the support of AI or digital twins to make you much more adaptive as soon as you detect a disruption, to make sure that you can adapt to the new environment and plan for it, right? So to that, what I think the organizations could do and could develop is they can try to like create a network of networks of their supply chain by partnering with their suppliers to make sure they realize the vision of some digital twins of supply chain, which is very complex to make and has a lot of issues in itself, to win the trust of your suppliers and request their data, which will be much more valuable for the success of your supply chain. So what companies should start doing is work with your suppliers to gain as much real-time data as you can, and create an in-house or maybe a third-party system which monitors your supply chain in real time, so that as soon as you get even a small indication of disruption, you can simulate those situation and plan for better outcomes through that. And AI is the driver behind that at this point of time, which can identify patterns in this vast number of data points. It's not manually possible to manage those huge number and millions of data points. So what organizations can start doing is create smaller in-house projects that can help them leverage such huge number of data points and be more proactive rather than reactive.
Thank you, Priyank. Yes, and maybe to add to that, Riyadh, would you like to add quickly about perhaps ESG expectations that might be influencing supplier performance and or transparency?
Yes, I think that when we talk about supply chain resilience today, ESG expectations are integrated directly into how resilience is defined. They are no longer a separate or parallel conversation, which is how it used to be treated a couple of years ago. So from what I am seeing, AI has made supply chains into more visible. ESG makes them more accountable. Organizations are expected to understand where their products come from and how they are produced, environmentally, socially, and ethically. That expectation is coming from regulators, investors, customers, and, and even employees. So AI is helping in very practical ways. It allows organizations to build better supplier risk profiles, tracking environmental performance, identifying labor or human rights risks, and even flagging potential disruptions and spotting compliance trends across large supplier network. But it is also important to say that resilience does not need huge complex platforms, especially for small and medium-sized businesses. It actually starts with clarity, knowing your critical suppliers, your highest ESG risks, and the minimum amount of data that you actually need to manage it. So it's all about managing exactly your needs and expectations. And what I see working well is a risk-based tiered approach. You can start with high impact suppliers, build ESG requirements into supplier onboarding and contracts, use simple tools to improve consistency and traceability. And then over time, AI can be layered in through shared platforms, industry tools, and partnerships rather than trying to build everything from scratch. So essentially, you want something that's scalable, that you can manipulate and evolve over time. In terms of skills and partnerships, sustainability literacy is becoming just as important as technical capability. Procurement teams also, they're crucial in understanding exactly what ESG risks, data interpretation, and ethical decision making, and the costs and lead times that are associated with those processes. We are also seeing stronger collaboration between suppliers, auditors, technology providers, and sustainability teams. Ultimately, I think that ESG expectations are raising the bar for supplier performance and transparency. AI builds visibility, and trust is built through governance, human oversight, and clear accountability. And a clear supply chain heading into 2026 is one that is intelligent and responsible by design. Thanks.
Thank you, Ria. I think you really having this multifaceted examination of risk, as well as the different types of organization and the ESG complexities that are applicable to each, is a fantastic transition to our next topic, which is resilience in regulated environment. They bring, as Ria noted in her ESG and partnerships discussion with us, really allows us to explore how innovation must stay both compliant and safe. So, Priyank, in the highly regulated medical device field, how is AI being woven into quality systems without compromising safety or compliance?
Yeah, so as the title suggests, right, like regulated innovation. So a lot of industries which are highly regulated, you can't move at the same pace in innovation as you move in like non-regulated industry. And medical device field is one such industry where you have to be extremely confident in your solution before you can uh, implement it for improving the lives of your patients, right? So here on the product side, I think a lot of companies are currently working, as well as there has been a significant uptick in the offerings of software as medical devices. That's a term that we use when a software is used to help diagnose or help treat a certain medical condition. So the software as a medical devices has been in existence for a long time, but AI powered software as medical devices, there is a huge uptick in the past few years, and FDA is also supporting to leverage the power of AI with the guidance that they have provided for PCCP as well as TPLC, which is the total product life cycle. So using this, how we are trying to leverage AI and several other emerging technologies in this field is, we, instead of treating this as qualifying a single product by FDA, we are treating it as a model. Like, we are taking a step back, and instead of like just questioning the product, we are questioning the model that is powering the product. What are the data points that you are using for this model? How is the model architected? What are the thought process behind the model? What's the output of the model? How are you planning to validate that model? Those are some of the questions that organizations are trying to answer while working with the regulators. And one of the concept there is something called as the box of safety. So up till now, when we would do any submission to FDA, it would just be a traditional system where we know how it would work and it would behave the same way every time, right? But with AI and machine learning, what is critical is your model stays the same, but the number of data points that you provide that helps to optimize or improve your model, right? So you might need to make slight adjustments in your model to gain the real output from that additional data. And when you launch a new product, you get a lot of good data from the real world through post-market monitoring and utilizing that data to improve your model. You can't just go to FDA every now and then to get a new set of software approved. So what came up is something called as the box of safety, where in your initial submission, you would tell FDA what in your model can change versus what cannot change. You don't want the whole architecture of your model to change after your submission has been approved. So what you need to be very clear on what you can optimize versus what you cannot touch at all. And through this change control plans, you have to also show how you are planning to validate any change in or any minor settings in your model that you are making to optimize the model and its performance and to bring value to your end client, that there are the patients and the surgeons. So in the medical device field, I think the organizations and FDA are working hand in hand to come up with such structures and defining this early on and allow for certain flexibility for the model to mature as well as improve as time goes through, as you start getting real world data for the model. That is one of the most needed innovation, I would say, in the medical device industry. And in terms of quality systems, as I said, post-market monitoring, I think you get a lot of data from your from the users of your product. So utilizing the data, understanding what's going on in the field using your device, I think that's somewhere where AI has helped a lot in quality system viewpoint. So I would say like medical devices are leveraging AI not just at the product level, but at the quality system level as well. And they are trying to gain 2x out of it.
I really thank you so much, Priyanka. So it's a cyclical innovation model is what I'm hearing, that we're also really moving the standards of how we operationalize our acquisition life cycles, our delivery life cycles, and our product delivery. So thank you so much for bringing that complexity and what you're really working on with FDA and your organization, as well as how do we enhance the product itself through utilization and integration of these wonderful technologies. So thank you for helping us understand this ecosystem, right? That's all really moving forward together at the same time. Tim and or Russ, would you like to translate this into aerospace or defense or manufacturing for us to understand how AI is helping us assure compliance without necessarily stifling creativity, or to Priyank's point, especially in the aerospace and defense areas, how it affects or impacts the risk life cycle?
I can add, mine will be about electronics design. And there was a lady, or I'm sorry, someone asked about how does it impact NPI, new product introduction. My son is an integrated circuit designer, and he has a colleague who is marketing an AI assisted design tool for circuit development. I think what we have seen over the last, say, 7 years is in our design cycles, we already have tools that simulate non-AI tools that simulate thermals, mechanical forces, bending, etc. on our designs. And at the last conference I was in, one of the software providers who does this, they are adding AI capabilities to simulate all of the design. Okay, mechanical, thermal, electrical, everything can be simulated before you actually build one. So what does that mean for NPI cycles? That means fewer design iterations, faster design spins. The first design works like it's supposed to work. The other thing that I see coming, and that some AI assisted software can do, is it will also simulate the reliability stresses for life test, et cetera, on electronic products. Now, if you look at this and fast forward, can we simulate everything on a printed circuit board so that the first design iteration is good on all accounts, reliability, performance, um, bending, thermals, etc. And that's the goal. That would be the ideal in design, to have a product that works the first time exactly like you want it to work. I think it's
Russ, yes. So kind of moving through that tail end, shake and bake process, right? Where you're undergoing all of these post-integration platform tests, right? Really, how do we drive that to the early stages of the life cycle? So we're simulating and or emulating these early on to stress test the design. So thank you so much, Russ. This is phenomenal. Yes, Tim?
Yeah, just from an aerospace perspective, we're talking about the adoption of AI and how it's woven into quality systems. As I stated earlier, there's different market segments of aerospace, and when you're dealing with commercial aerospace, the adoption is very slow. The life cycle for MPIs is 3 to 5 years to get new products in, or to get any type of new innovation in. The next generation commercial aircraft probably going to come out in 2035. So it's 9 to 10 years from now. So that tells you how the life cycle goes for aerospace, as opposed to drones. The next drone is going to come out in the next 6 months. So AI has a lot of leeway to be able to make innovative decisions and so forth. Also make quality inspection decisions, make data-driven decisions, all on its own without any human intervention. So I just wanted to point that out, that the regulation about with innovation, depending on the market segment, is very different, and it needs to be, because some of these drones aren't designed to last very long. So you want to be able to have innovative, rigorous products coming out, and have those new designs come out very quickly, because you need them. As opposed to with commercial aircraft, the impact of the risk is very high, so you're going to be a little bit slow with that project life cycle for new product introduction.
Much, Tim, for really helping us understand the factors that we need to be taking into consideration, the quickening pace of the acquisition life cycle, and to your point, right, this diverse set of piloting and prototyping and lifespan, if you will, that will allow us to insert innovation across multiple points of the life cycle. So, and harnessing AI. So thank you, Tim. we're going to, Ria, I believe that you addressed most of the points we were going to raise for this question in the last question. So we're going to move on to theme 5, please. And this is, you know, it really brings us to this equally critical layer of sustainability and ethics, that the compass that guides most innovations across the globe. So Ria, we'll let you start out with this one. And this is ESG expectations are transforming corporate strategy. How are AI and data analytics accelerating sustainability progress? And what ethical tensions are you seeing arise when technology outpaces regulation?
Yes, so ESG expectations are absolutely transforming corporate strategy, and AI and data analytics are becoming powerful accelerators. And they also surface important ethical tensions as well. On the positive side, you see AI is helping organizations move from intention to execution, and we can now track environmental performance in near real time. We can identify inefficiencies, we can model climate risk scenarios, and even monitor supply chain and social indicators at a scale that just wasn't possible before. And that level of insight allows sustainability to be embedded into day-to-day decision making rather than being treated as an annual reporting exercise. When we look at ethical tensions, we see that these arise when the speed of technology, it's just moving so quick that it overrides the governance aspects of the systems that would have been built into processes. AI can create a sense of certainty that is not always warranted. And I think that models are only good as the data behind them. And sustainability data often involves estimates, proxies, and judgment calls. If we do not acknowledge these limitations, we risk overstating confidence or making decisions that lack transparency. There is also a human-centered dimension. AI can optimize for efficiency, but sustainability is ultimately about impact on people, the workers, the communities, customers, and future generations. Ethical leadership requires asking whether an outcome is efficient or compliant, whether it is fair, inclusive, and responsible. And this is where we see that leadership matters. When you have a human-centered leadership approach, this means keeping humans in the loop, setting ethical boundaries for technology use, and ensuring that decisions remain explainable and auditable. It also means investing in sustainability and data literacy so that teams understand both the insights and the limitations of AI. In this sense, AI does not replace leadership. It tests it and makes it viable. Organizations that succeed will be those that use data to accelerate progress, while anchoring decisions in values, ethics, and long-term stewardship. And that's where sustainability, ethics, and human-centered leadership truly converge. Thanks.
And I love it. Ria, thank you for reiterating the fact that we can build this in, and we can build it in at such a level, harnessing and utilizing AI and ML and our humans in the loop across the life cycles at many different points, thereby not pushing the issues and the challenges downstream. So thank you so much for raising that. Anyone else on the panel, would you like to talk about, much to what Ria was noting, how do we ensure AI supports but not supplants human judgment in regard to the life cycles and this ethical decision making?
I can go if, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So I think it's very important, and that's where ethics comes into the picture, right? Like AI is there to support us, but then like when AI is trying to showcase a proposal which you would not have done when like if you were working all by yourself, right? And let's say AI comes up with a proposal which is either includes bias or is not the right thing to do ethically, you do need to like push back and make your own informed decision as to whether we should go and use that path or not, right? So that's one of the thing. The other thing is, as a lot of movies and lot of people say, right, like with great powers comes great responsibility. So I would like to present that in terms of sustainability. So whenever like humankind has received certain power, be it through like tools, be it through automation, be it through industrialization, we have in in return we have done something that helps the larger world, right? So with the advent of AI now, since we have this much power at our fingertips, right? And as somebody asked, like how can we use AI for NPI? So I think it's our responsibility now to think about sustainable designs, not just the perfect designs, but instead sustainable designs. And one concept that comes to mind is something called as the circular economy. So whenever you are designing a product, or even maybe like selecting a component for your product, think about in a way that you think about the circular economy. Like once you have used that product or the component for your product and its life cycle, after that how can it still add value to somebody else's application or somebody else's use case, right? So that's a huge thing which I think if companies try to do that without AI, it will add a lot of burden and cost and efforts on the organization. But now, since we have AI helping us with those goals, we should try to focus on sustainability and circular economy goals as well, so that we can optimize the use of our resources rather than creating like redundant products. Yeah, that would be my suggestion. Yeah.
Thank you. I love it. Priyank, modularity and extensibility from an AI ecosystem standpoint across industry segments. Thank you. Okay, so to ensure we have some time at the end for our attendee questions, we're going to transition to our next thing now. And so let's connect these threads. How do we govern AI across business units or partnering businesses to ensure excellence and alignment? So Innovation 5.0 demands orchestration across silos. How can organizations align AI initiatives in quality, supply chain, and strategy under a unified governance and excellence framework? So what cross-functional models are you seeing working? Is there centers of excellence you can drive awareness of? Is there a federated governance model or hybrid PMOs that you all are seeing support and balance agility with accountability when deploying AI? I'll open that up to anyone who would like to take that.
I can maybe add a little bit of color to this one, but it's not what I've seen. It's what I've gleaned from the research that I've done is I think the point is the workflow across different silos within the organization. And I think if you let each silo develop their own AI agents in a vacuum, you're going to have the same issues that you have today. And some of the literature from the Association from Supply Chain Management talks about, they call them AI factory hubs, where you have integrated workflows and that the AI agents actually work across the boundaries between sales, marketing, operations, manufacturing, and logistics. And I think, again, I think the ultimate goal is, let's call it autonomous fulfillment for any organization. And if you don't integrate your AIs in whatever you want to call it. They called it a factory hub, where you have some agents that do tactical things, and then they report to another AI agent that coordinates between the different operations. Um, I don't quite know how it would work, but certainly it seems better than the way things operate today between silos within large corporations, where things get missed. Um, People interpret things incorrectly. There's competition, infighting, etc. But it gives us a framework that sees opportunity to have a more seamless operation in the S&OP world than we have today.
I love this. You're really talking about strategic, operational, tactical efficiencies that we can drive through this, and overcoming some of our cultural / siloization challenges and biggest risks. Thank you so much, Russ. Is there one person that would like to recommend? Do you have one governance best practice that you would like to see fielded for 2026 in this area before we move on to our next theme?
Yeah, I'll add on. I had my hand raised. I'll add on to that. One thing I've seen, and it's growing, is that organizations are making AI a stakeholder at the table. You just set up a blank chair with no one sitting in it. AI's in the meeting itself with you, and it's giving out its input and recommendations, and everyone at the table hears it. Everyone on the meeting call hears what AI has to say about solutions and recommendations going forward, whether it be with quality output, different revenue decisions, profitability decisions, or even if I go back to the last thing, even environmental decisions where it has to be regulated by EHS 14,000 or ISO 9000 or AS 9100, which is the aerospace regulatory body. But giving it a seat at the table and listening to it and engaging it as a stakeholder, as you would a human, may be a little weird for people to start off doing that. But I do see that as a growing push to have AI as its own stakeholder, and giving its own output as an equal to those who are a part of an organization.
I love this, Tim. So talk about, all of you as panelists have talked about the removal of much bias as possible, the efficiencies of really integrating multiple perspectives to drive to that innovation and impact and value proposition point. So I love the points that you're raising, is really, if we harness it in an iterative fashion, to be independent in thought, and we enable it as a decision point within our governance life cycle, we can, I think, to your point, create some phenomenal outputs. Not only that, but really help operationalize these governance life cycles and mature them going forward. So thank you so much, Tim, for that. Okay, folks, we are at the majority of our themes, and we have one last one. So governance is really the backbone, and the heart of transformation is people. So let's wrap up by focusing on the human side of AI today. And this is for each of our panelists, however you'd like to go in order. If you could offer, how about if we go from your first name, please? If you could offer one piece of advice to leaders preparing their workforce for AI-enabled transformation, what would that be? And what would you offer to our attendees and those listening to the recording today?
I guess I'll go first. So, what I would say is try to leverage your existing workforce. There is a reason behind that, is like what I personally feel like with my work with AI, as well as whatever research I have done in this space, is that to be successful, like a lot of organizations starts with AI projects, but then a lot of those they fail at the pilot stage itself, right? And what I personally feel one of the critical reasons behind that is that you need somebody with a strong domain knowledge for a certain use case to have a successful AI project delivered. So what I would say is, instead of replacing the whole team, try to upskill your existing workforce, because they already have the domain knowledge. Have them upskill themselves so that they can support your vision of an AI powered QMS or AI powered product. That would be my one piece of advice. Yeah.
Thank you, Priyank.
I can also chime in here. I think that managers, executives need to realize that you can't just come up with an AI agent and expect the culture to change in your organization. I think that, we talk a lot about culture, but this is a significant culture change for employees. And as I inferred earlier, our employees and us as humans, we all bring to the table biases in how things should be done, what the future looks like, and oftentimes we may be a little bit wrong. And what I feel like, if we don't change the culture, humans are going to do what they've always done, and the AI implementations will not succeed, and humans will override the inferences and the predictions and the forecasting ability that just may not seem real. But I think we have to really consider our biases when we're trying to change the culture and help and allow people to listen to what the AI is saying. It could very well be right.
Foot stomping what Tim says, going back again to that cultural constraints that we're running into with regard to technology promulgation, adoption, and utilization. So thank you so much for helping us. And then I think, Tim's point is, if we can get to this point, and I think yours is, we can make it iterative where we create a trustworthiness base, maybe we go further faster. Ria?
My advice to leaders will be to invest in people before you invest in tools. AI transformation will succeed or fail based on trust, capability, and culture. Employees don't need to become data scientists, but they do need to understand how AI influences decisions and what its limitations are, and where human judgments must take precedence. And this means building data literacy, ethical awareness, and psychological safety so that people feel empowered to question, challenge, and improve their AI-driven processes.
Thank you, Ria. And then last but not least, of course, Tim.
I have a couple things to say. One of the big things with AI implementation that I feel organizations are having a hard time identifying is the return on investment that they're getting out of it. You're hearing that a lot lately as investors are investing in a lot of AI companies, is that where's the return on investment? Where is the benefit coming from? Hey, we implemented this AI system in a year ago and our profitability is still the same. Our revenue is still the same. What did we gain out of it? So set goals for your organization of what you want to get out of AI, and make sure that they're attainable. Make sure that they're SMART goals as well, and don't scale it too rapidly. I understand that we don't want to put them in silos, but at least start it in a small segment of your organization, learn from that, and then scale it into other areas of your organization as well. But the story I want to tell is that understand the return on investment, understand the metrics that you want to get out of it. The other thing I want to say is, don't have your workforce just trust AI blindly. Make sure that they know how to intelligently challenge it, intelligently question AI, and that way they build a partnership, and it could lead to a change in culture and a change in acceptance of AI amongst your workforce once they see the gains and improvements that they're able to get out of their outputs.
Thank you. So I just want to thank you again, Priyank, Ria, Russ, and Tim, for your phenomenal insights that you have given to us. We are now going to segue to our open portion of our audience Q&A. So give me just a second to get over to the chat and we'll see what our phenomenal attendees have for you on the plate. We have about 5 more minutes for wrapping here. Let's see. Okay, so let's go ahead and say, looking forward into the latter part of 2026, how about we take each of you from your specific industry segment and we ask you, what are you advising your clients or your organization internally to do with AI, for what purpose and with what perceived impact?
I guess I'll start. I think I'm an advocate of implementing machine learning algorithms to better be able to understand supply demand using a lot of macroeconomic indicators to be able to better predict changes and shifts in customer behavior, economic conditions, et cetera, to better understand supply and demand for your operation. But and I think the other one is, have this hybrid human AI interaction, understand the cultural requirements behind it. It's really a significant change for workers.
Thank you, Russ. I love your phased maturation, as well as just being cognizant of the second and third order impacts that are going to occur. Thank you so much. Is there any other panelists that would like to help close us out with a response for today?
I can take that. So I think mainly what I'm focusing, like I'm working on this internally as well as externally. So internally, I think I'm focusing on improving efficiency, like to make sure whatever data we have vast number of data points, right? Like try to leverage that data point and improve efficiency. And externally, I think I'm quite vocal, as well as I do presentations on something called like lean supply chain, digital twins. I'm trying to like showcase how companies and organizations have been leveraging this framework and what value it brings for creating trust in your supply chain system. Yeah.
Thank you, Priyank. There's a lot to understand, the complexity and the application, and again, this really phased maturation approach and piloting of it to get best results. Thank you, Priyank. Ria or Tim, do you have any closing statement you'd like to make before we close for today?
Yeah, I'll say one of the things that I am, at least in my past as well as currently, that I like to use AI for is to coalesce all the lessons learned from our past when it comes to different aerospace projects, at least within my industry as well. You have to keep in mind that some of these specifications that we're building to are 40 years old. And you can imagine what that information is still housed on floppy disk, PDFs that were scanned and handwritten and so forth, and building and getting all that together so AI can help us come up with better decisions based off of information that we may not be able to have in our back pocket, because it takes 5 days to go and find a particular document to be able to make a sound decision based off of what somebody found out in prior years. So being able to coalesce all the lessons learned, all the past artifacts together, get them in one system so AI can be able to make sound decisions for us. That's what I hope to happen in the next couple of years.
Phenomenal, right? The quality executives are going to love you, Tim. That's exactly what we need to, right? Really keep learning from the things we've learned from before, put them into best practices and integrate them into our life cycles. Love it. Thank you. Ria, would you like to close us out, ma'am?
Sure. For me, the focus would be on continuing to work with employees and the need for human intervention instead of, relying on the outputs from AI. So there's a need to review, to do your validations with the data and make sure that it's data free, it's error free before proceeding with your outputs.
Thank you. I love how you keep going back to this, the governance aspect and the human in the loop, and really helping make sure that we are in tandem and always asking how we can assure this better. So thank you so much, Ria. Again, Priyank, Ria, Russ, and Tim, thank you so much for your expertise and for sharing with us how you are going to spearhead new initiatives going forward. As we enter Innovation 5.0, remember, technology amplifies who we are. It's our ethics, our vision, and our shared purpose that determine whether disruption becomes destructive or evolutionary. So let's continue building systems where innovation serves humanity, not the other way around. So again, this is on behalf of ASQ Innovation Division, ASQ Government Division, ASQ all of the multiple divisions that are represented here today. We share with you an event look ahead for 2026 for innovation. We share with you an event look ahead for 2026. We invite you to our upcoming multi-divisional panel in April. And we thank you for being here with each and every one of us today as we kicked off 2026 strong with our cross ASQ multi-division. Again, a big thank you to our panelists, a big thank you for all who attended, and we look forward to continue to serve you during the rest of 2026. Stay safe, stay warm, and stay healthy with this impending snowstorm, and we will see you all in February. Thank you.
Thank you.